Today I'm going to be making a cabbage bowl serving dish for a New Year's party. The leaf I'm using for this bowl was grown in my garden. It's actually a Brussels sprout plant, but you may know that they're in the same family as cabbages and the leaves look quite the same. I used this leaf to make a bowl already, so it's already been flattened and dripped a little. You can see it's a bit used up, but I'm hoping to get at least one more bowl from it. You can see here that I cut the stem at an angle, which will make for a smoother looking impression. I start by rolling out a slab. I'm using white stoneware clay and 1/2 centimeter thickness gauges, so my slab will be 1/2 centimeter thick. I like to roll my slab out slowly, flipping and rotating as I go. By rolling it out this way evenly, it will help the bowl not to warp later. And don't forget to compress your slab as well. Here I'm using a Mud Tools rib, and I have all the tools I'm using in this video linked in the description. Now it's time to impress the leaf upon the clay. Don't worry if your leaf is a little bit more curled than mine. As I've mentioned, I've already used this once, so the leaf is a bit flat now. It was definitely curly before, so just lay it down as flat as you can. You want to lay a thin cotton cloth over the top and softly roll it in. You do not want to put too much pressure here, as we're not trying to thin the clay out anymore. You can always check on the leaf to see how far into the clay it's impressed. And keep an eye especially on the stem, as that's the thickest part and will get pushed through the furthest. So be careful that you don't roll too hard so that the stem could push through your slab. Before removing the leaf, I like to use my needle tool to cut around it first. I cut right up to the leaf edge, but any sharp corners or missing pieces I'll just smooth over. Then you can remove the leaf. After rolling the leaf onto the slab, it might be a little stuck to your board. So I like to use a second board to flip it over, rather than trying to lift it by its edges and risk distorting the shape. Then you need some kind of mold. So this can be a plaster mold or a bisque mold or just a bowl of some kind. I'm using an old mixing bowl for my kitchen and lining it with cloth. I looked for a bowl that has the right size and curve for the shape that I'm trying to make. If your bowl, like mine, is not porous, you will need to put some fabric in between so the slab doesn't get stuck. Then I simply transfer the slab into the bowl, with the impressed side facing up. Next, you want to let your bowl dry to leather hard. So how long you need to wait depends on the climate in your studio. For me, I folded the corners of the cloth over to slow the drying a little bit and then left it overnight. By the morning, it was dry enough to continue working. My bowl was a little wetter than I would have liked, but it was still firm enough. You can see it slightly distorting as I lift it here from the mixing bowl. A little distortion is okay, but you want to minimize that to prevent warping later on. However, it does need to be able to hold its shape when placed upside down. I'm going to be making a foot for this bowl because as a serving dish, I want it to stand up proud and elegant. But if you're making a more everyday bowl or you just like the look, you don't need to add a foot. To make the foot, I'm going to roll out a coil with some fresh clay. The key to rolling nice coils is to not press down, but just push back and forth and let the weight of your hands thin the clay. Another trick is to spread your fingers as you're rolling to encourage movement outward. First, I will place the coil on the dish to measure out the size of the foot and then attach the coil together to make a ring. I like to smooth in that connection so it pretty much disappears. Then place the foot back on the platter to mark where you're going to attach. I will score each side and then use water to attach them, just like a handle or anything else. And much like coil building, I will pinch the coil between my fingers to press the clay down into the platter. You can leave the coil like this, but next I'm going to blend it in and do some pinching to shape it. As my bowl is a little on the wet side, I fold up some cloth underneath it to maintain the shape while I'm pressing into it. As I'm blending, I'm also going to shape the coil into a flare, which I think balances the wide shape of the dish quite nicely. I'm going to use the other end of a wooden knife to add more precise pressure, as my fingers were too wide here. You don't want to add water here, as that will weaken your dish and make a big mess. At the very end, you may add a little water by using a wrung-out sponge to smooth everything out. I also like to use a sponge to clean up the rim. Once it's looking how I want it to, I wrap it in plastic for 24 hours to equalize the moisture in the clay. After the 24 hours, I will remove the plastic and let it dry out naturally over the course of 1 week. Once it's fully dry, you can bisque your dish. I finish up with some green glaze and a final firing at 1240 degrees Celsius. And here is the final result. I love how this piece comes full circle and tells the story of my garden, the amazing Brussels sprout harvest that I had, all the way through celebrating the holidays and hopes for the new year. As the garden is currently in hibernation, I hope you too are able to slow down and take some time to relax after this long and difficult year. I wish you all the very best, and I will see you in 2023. Bye, friends.